interview, and it leads to many more questions. The wonderful thing is that people have the opportunity to say, hey, wait a minute, I can expand my mind right now. I can expand to think that there's something greater and that I have a special place that is made specially for me, and maybe I am important. Maybe I can do something to help my neighbor instead of take them for all they're worth. You know, we have a different perspective from a lot of different people around the world suddenly waking up.
Yeah. The shift that would happen internally, because I still get, and I know I shouldn't be harsh on people, because I get at least once or twice a week, I'll get an email from somebody that says, or a phone call that says, what does it matter? Why would it really matter if the Earth was round or if it was flat? And I was going, well, that's just because it's like I still have to go to my crappy job in the morning, and it's like, yeah, but for how much longer, you don't know, because that job and everything in your life would change in a hurry because of what would happen. And that is, look, if all of a sudden people were told by by the mainstream media that, oh yeah, by the way, you're living in a giant building, and all the stars and the sun and the moon, everything is just a backdrop. There would be three big things that would happen. One would be education. That would happen overnight, and that is every college. There's a lot of colleges in this world, and every college immediately, their astrophysics and astronomy departments, those things would shut down. They would never reopen. But all the remaining physical sciences, and by that I mean geology, hydrology, archaeology, biology, take your pick, all of them would have to be retooled for this new model. The education system would be in a huge state of flux. And new scientists would have to come out of the woodwork to try to deal with this new paradigm shift. The second thing would happen would be economic, which is what happens is. Hang on, I just completely lost my train of thought.
Well, economically, how many people printed out globes on all their stationery?
Yeah. Well, not just that. Think of all the militaries in the world. Because all the militaries in the world, which were initially keyed up to fight each other, what happens to those militaries? What do they do? Are you really going to go to war? Because we're all become one big community. So rival nations, blood feuds. Are these things really still exist? The second, I'm sorry, that's the second part. But there's also the side, to that would be the religious aspect of it, meaning, and it's every religion in the world, and the big five are, Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. They've all been looking for proof of intelligent design. They've all been looking for the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant. They've been doing this forever. Everyone wants the secret, the sacred artifact. If they all got this at the same time, what happens then? You're giving them all proof of God at the same time, and that they represent 80% of the population in this world. They would turn on science and say, oh, hey, by the way, you were wrong about a lot of things, and we turned out that we were right about a lot of things. What else have you been wrong about, and what else are we right about? They become way more powerful than they ever were before. Now, I'm not saying they're gonna walk through universities and start burning buildings down, but there will be some harsh feelings out there, because it's like, okay, who actually knew about this lie, and because there's going to be some accountability, not to mention the biggest class action lawsuit of all time, which would be NASA. And NASA and all their subcontractors and all their subcontractors, it would be billions, if not trillions, of dollars, which would be amazing. But the positive aspect of this, I do believe, but it's like, why would I care if the Earth was round or flat? Is that if it becomes flat, which means it becomes enclosed, which means it was built. That's the key here. If it was built, and you have proof it was built, that means there's a creator. And if there's a creator, that means there's probably been somebody looking over your shoulder for a while now.
Yeah.
And now, beforehand, it was like, oh, no, I can kind of get away with it. Everyone's got that whole, devil and angel on their shoulder story. But I try to give people the stoplight argument, and that is, everybody's run a stoplight. until they start installing stoplight cameras. And then you don't run that stoplight anymore. It's like, well, why not? It's, well, because I'll get caught. The picture will be taken of me. It's like, well, then why were you thinking about running it in the first place? Mm-hmm. That's what things change, and that is people won't do the things that they would normally do, I believe, because it's like, well, you're accountable at that point. You become truly accountable for your actions. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, there's going to be psychopaths out there. They're going to do things no matter what. They don't care. But most of us, who have been on the fence for all these years, we're going to look over our shoulder, literally, and go, all right, I get it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to steal this. I'm not going to, I'm not going to do this bad thing or this bad thing. In fact, would you do anything malicious towards anybody? Would you actually, kick somebody when they're down? Would you, spread lies? The argument is that Santa Claus, the naughty and nice list doesn't mean anything. It's pointless, right? Until you see Santa Claus sitting there in your living room eating cookies. Then the list makes a whole lot more sense, and then you got to be good. I mean, you don't have to be good, but you're going to be rolling the dice, and I don't think a lot of people are going to do it, because I've driven around a lot of different places with those stoplight cameras. I don't see people blowing those things, by them. And so yeah, that's the big push is why I'm trying to keep this thing as positive as possible compared to all the other sinister conspiracies out there. This one, I think, more than anything, has the chance to change the world in a really great way.
I do too. Since I think many people are going to step up and say, everyone deserves a chance, yes, but bullies need to be brought under control before they're given chances again. Because this has been our problem. We have a bully world, we've allowed it, and now we see the result of it, and it's been going on for too long, and this is emancipation.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's potentially a new golden age if it is done right.
It is.
In fact, you probably, if you saw the clues, I asked the powers to be. I said, look, you could do this. You guys could be the heroes and turn this into something great. You could make our civilization something worth caring about. And I know people say, no, you're naive. They're never going to do it. They're going to go down the dark path and turn it into something horrible. I was like, well, at least my conscience is clear. At least I warned them.
Well, that's the whole thing. If you're standing on the wall and you see the army coming, you don't sit there and go, well, look at the pretty lights, and not tell anyone that it's going on.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's so exciting. It's so wonderful, and it's laughable. It's wonderful. I just see so much potential. What are some of your favorite situations, favorite moments in discovery when you realized about
the big one for me was the cleverness of it. Meaning, when I was looking at it, because I tried, and everyone's heard this story, I tried to debunk this thing for 9 months, starting in the summer of 2014, because I didn't believe it. There's no way. No one believes it the first time, and I'm not kidding when I tell people, I say that if you don't laugh at this thing, if you don't roll your eyes or try to ridicule it or just go, oh my God, this is the most horrible, insane thing ever, then if you don't do that the first time you see it, then there's probably something wrong with you, because that's the conditioning that everybody has, and including me. So when I was looking at it, I started, as I was starting to kind of unfold things and try to figure out the subtle nuances of it, I realized that it was so cleverly done, not just from not from the powers that be. I'll give them some credit because they've hit it for the last 60 years, but most of the work was done for them. Let's be honest here. The whole place was designed so that we did not know that it was enclosed. The globe hints here and there were put in artificially so that we wouldn't, know that we were kind of encased in this thing. So one of my favorite moments that I had was when I was looking at just a breakdown when I was looking at like the oceans, for example, and most people don't realize that the oceans are only 3% salt. It's not that much by comparison to freshwater, but what that does is 3% is just enough that human beings can't drink it, which means it restricts traveling by ships, back in the old days when they were exploring, because the limits of how you could explore by ship was really limited to your fresh water,
Yes.
more than anything. So because you couldn't drink the water that you were sailing on, you were severely limited, and lots of missions failed because of it. They either had to turn back, or they died, or whatever.
There was no sailing solution
No. Yeah.
for the problem.
So they didn't know what to do, and so I was going, that is a great. I mean, imagine that one little thing, that and the subtle negative reinforcements out at the outer edge, meaning, because people say, well, if it's an edge, you're going to fall off, or the Earth is flat, it's going to fall off. It's like, no, because there's an entire edge made out of ice.
Too cold.
That starts out at 200 feet high and then goes up to 2 miles high, and then there's no animal life, plant life, or anything out there. There's no way you can cross it because you don't have the supplies to go across it. But how that negative reinforcement is so subtle to where, when you get close to Antarctica, how it gets colder and colder, and then you get icebergs at about 15 degrees. And then if you actually made it to the beachhead, it's just another layer and another layer. But the whole point is that you were the ones that makes the decision to turn back on your own. And I thought that was great because it makes it seem like it's your choice, and it's not your choice. It's just the layers of reinforcement, like with a pet, are put there, but it doesn't make it. Whoever built this place, it doesn't make them seem heavy-handed. It's like, oh yeah, fine, let them go out there. You know how we do with children sometimes. Well, let them put the penny in the light socket, see what happens, and that's what.
Build your Tower of Babel. There's a Van Allen belt.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's Van Allen belt. That's a fun one as well. That's just one of the questions I throw out to people, and that is, the Van Allen belt, which was announced in 1959 by NASA. They were the ones that literally said, oh yeah, by the way, this is up there, this horrible band of radiation. You never can go through it. Don't ever try. And then 10 years later, they're going through it.
Zip.
But they didn't say how they got through it. It's like, what shielding did you use? Because there's only 2 common elements you can use to go through the Van Allen belt with. One is lead, that's super cheap. Then there's gold, which is very expensive, but you can afford it if you're NASA. You could use maybe a barium alloy or something like that, but that's super, super hard to find. But the point is, they never said what they used. They just went through it on these round trips during Apollo 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and nobody talked about it. And it was just mind-boggling to me because, and I would have thought, okay, well, people said, well, it's classified, that's a super secret shielding. I was going, yeah, that's fine and all. But then in October of 2014, NASA released this video called Orion Trial by Fire, where they come out and they release this on not only the internet but on television. This little 7-minute thing where they come on, they're saying, "Oh yeah, this Orion project, we're going to go to Mars. We're going to send an unmanned capsule through the Van Allen belt because we haven't figured out how to solve the radiation problem."
By the way, yes,
yes. Wait, you haven't solved it. You solved it in the '60s. What's left to solve? And then, I was just going ballistic. I could not believe some producer was dumb enough to make that thing. And then, of course, less than 3 weeks ago, they closed down the Orion program entirely. They were first like, oh yeah, we're going to send people to Mars. And then in December, they said, oh yeah, there's this French science module we were waiting for, and it's not going to be ready in time, so we're just going to scrap the entire Mars program. Why would you scrap the entire program? It's a French part. It's a French science thing. Who cares about the French? Not knocking the French. I know some very nice French people, but who cares about them when it comes to this mission? And they said, oh yeah, it's postponed indefinitely. And so now it's like they're not even going to talk about it again until 2018. Basically, nothing's going to happen. They're never going to Mars. So.
They're implying maybe that the Van Allen belt is further away than the moon was.
Well, the Van Allen belt, if you believe what they say, starts at, 400 miles up or 400 kilometers and extends to tens of thousands of kilometers. It's supposedly very thick and very deadly. But when you ask their explanation, because they did have to explain to people back in the 60s how they got through it, and they said, well, we just went real fast. we just floored it. That was the answer. We're just going to go real fast. Therefore, there will be limited amount of exposure to the bad melon belts as you're trying to get to the moon, which is great and all, except there's a problem there, and that is fine. Let's say you did, I don't believe it, but let's say you did go real fast and went through it. Well, that's just the one-way part. What happens when you're